Hello, good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm here once again to bring to you the Legal Hour show, proudly sponsored by CITI Solicitors. On Tuesday, we normally do the English section, but sadly, we had some technical hitch. We couldn't broadcast the show. But tonight, I'm here, so you have not mixed out. I'm here to do the English section. We had an amazing show last night in the Twi language, and most of you, by popular request, have asked that we continue the same topic in English, so that those of you who don't understand the Twi language can equally benefit. So tonight I'm here to discuss immigration, my favorite area of the law, and I'm going to take my time to educate the public, as I do always, about some of the myths that is going around and all the stories that mainly fallacies. So tonight I am looking at the topic search in UK net immigration and labor shortage. It's quite a long, broad topic, but I'm going to take my time to obviously explain it one by one to make people understand. And as I did yesterday in the tree, I'm going to look at the student visa route. I'm going to look at humanitarian grounds, those who are coming here. And I'm also going to look at those who are coming here under the skilled worker route, whether this increase in net immigration is going to have any significant effect on immigration policies, whether there are going to be changes in the immigration laws, whether they are going to close some of the routes to immigrants who want to migrate to the UK. And that is what I'm going to discuss tonight. So please don't go away. I'll go on a short commercial break, and when I come back, I take my time to discuss this topic, which I'm sure will benefit most of you. So don't go away. Hello, good evening once again, and thank you for your patience. Uh, as I said for my intro, tonight I'm here to discuss immigration as part of our program to bring to you the legal update. Um, Last night we have a very wonderful show in the Twi language. Obviously, most of you missed out because you don't understand the language. Normally we do this program every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesday is normally the English section, and then on Wednesday we do the Twi section. We had a technical hitch, and on Tuesday we were not able to broadcast the show. By popular request tonight, I'm going to take my time to do the English section, which we missed on Tuesday. So I want to urge you that if you have just joined me, invite your friend to invite a friend, invite a family to invite a family. This program is being broadcast on 3 platforms, namely CITI Media TV, CITI Law Solicitors Facebook page, and my own personal profile, Thomas Bebel, from CITI Law Solicitors. So tonight I am here for CITI Law Solicitors, and CITI Law Solicitors is a sponsor of this show. The topic for tonight is the surge or increase in UK net immigration and why there is a labor shortage. So I'm going to look at this, as I've said earlier, by looking at 3 categories of the immigration or the net immigration data, and mainly by looking at the student visa route, looking at those who have come to the UK based on humanitarian grounds, namely asylum seekers, and also looking at the skilled workers. And in fact, if you look at the data, these are the 3 major areas that has contributed immensely to the increase in the net immigration. Now, one will ask, what is net immigration? Net immigration is normally the difference between people who are coming to this country and those who are going out of this country. And we all know that after Brexit, in fact, government and politicians were all of the view that this net immigration, which is the difference between people who are coming to the UK to settle and those who are probably tired and going back home to stay, or those who are going back permanently, is going to fall. It means that the immigration numbers was going to go down. But sadly, to their disappointment, this figure has gone up. We all know that it is a very difficult conundrum for politicians to manage immigration, because why? Employers need these people to also work. The schools, the universities need these students to come and study because they pay immensely to the coffers of these universities. And obviously when they are coming, they also need the support of their family members and children, because they cannot leave them alone back home. They need to be here with them. And therefore, this has become very topical issue, to the extent that today somebody was telling me that, oh, I've heard that students are no longer being allowed to bring their family members. I said, well, to the best of my knowledge, I have not had any legal update. I have not had any change of law that restricts students from coming to this country with their family members. And therefore, it's important that tonight I take my time to explain these numbers or these figures. Now, as we always do, when we had this budget by Quarten and the Trust, we took our time to explain this budget to viewers. And of course, most of the things that we discuss here turn out what happened. So sometimes it's interesting how law can blend with finance or economics. But hey, if you have joined me, you are the right place, because I have a background in both economics and finance, and therefore I'm not just going to explain the law to you tonight. I'm going to explain the essence of these figures, because figures for economists need to make sense. It's just not the numbers. is what the numbers can cause and their effects on people around you and services and all that. That's what matters. And that is why this surge or the increase in that migration has become so topical. For the past weeks, thank God we have a World Cup match, so it has subsided. But obviously, last 2 weeks, it was quite a topical issue where people were very concerned that there are going to be immense changes in the immigration laws because of this increase in net migration. So first and foremost, I'm looking at the first group who contributed highest to the net migration by looking at the 12 months to the month of June. So you find out that ONS, the Office of National Statistics Data, looks at this data from the 12 months to the month of June 2022. So this is, and it is estimated that that net migration, which is people who are going out of this country and those who are coming in, was 504,000 people, which is 500,000 or slightly more than 500,000. This is in fact a whooping figure that is alarming to a lot of people. Why? Because obviously when we left the European Union, with the restriction on free movement of European citizens and their family members, most people were of the view that the net migration was going to reduce to hundreds, and now it has increased in thousands. So this is why this figure is causing a lot of anxiety among public and politicians, and this is why I'm going to alleviate this anxiety by explaining these figures to you so that it makes sense to you. So when you hear stories going around, you are solid on the ground because you've got advice from CITI law solicitors. So the first category, which is the students, as I've already said, if you look at this data, this 504,000 people who came to the UK 12 months to the month of June just passed, then you find out that students were in the highest group that has contributed so much to this net migration. And in fact, there are two reasons that are ascribed to this. Why is it that there have been so many students coming to the United Kingdom? Firstly, we know that when we had the COVID restrictions, there were restrictions on travel, and most of the universities were doing their courses or running their programs remotely, and students were doing virtual courses. And therefore, when the restrictions, travel restrictions were lifted, most of these students moved to campus to attend in-person classes. So obviously, most of them now have to get visas rather than studying from home, whether in China, whether in Ivory Coast, whether in America, whether in Canada. They all had to travel and come to the United Kingdom. And that obviously led to an increase in the student population in the United Kingdom. That is one of the reasons being given for the increase in that number. Secondly, there have been a lot of programs that what I have discussed most of this on this platform. Those who can, for example, if you're a student and you acquire bright, and then you get an endorsing body to certify you, you can even get 3 years. Within 3 years, you can get indefinitely to remain. And there is also the post-study worker visa route, which allows people to get visas for another 2 years after completion of their course, when they have completed their program, and then they are able to work and eventually save some money and go back home, or even switch to other skilled worker routes. So this has become very attractive to a lot of people who want to come to the UK to study. And therefore, in economics, we'll call it, this is a pulling factor, attracting people to come in. And obviously, these universities also need these students in order to be able to finance these expensive research programs that are being run in various universities, because they pay much more money than than the home students. And therefore, these two main reasons is why we had so much increase in the student population in the United Kingdom, thereby contributing to the increase in the net immigration. But the point is that if you are a politician and probably listening to me, we should not be alarmed, because normally when there is an increase in the student population, remember, most of these students will eventually go back. Most of them, after completion of their course, will go back. And therefore, if there is increase in net migration, mainly because of student population, then there is likely to be what they call an increase in emigration. Emigration occurs where people are leaving that country. We saw what happened when we left the European Union. A lot of the Europeans from all over the member states went back to their countries. So since then, there have been a lot of restrictions for them to come back, because obviously I'm going to explain that when I'm looking at the skilled worker route and why it has become so difficult for these Europeans to come and work in the United Kingdom, because there is no longer free movement of EU citizens and their family members. So having explained why there has been an increase in the student population and why this should not be alarming, and it is not likely that it may lead to change, even though there have been a lot of anxiety that students may be restricted from bringing their family members and all that. I've just explained to you guys that whenever there is increase in student population, obviously that could also lead to emigration. So this same net migration, which is so high because of the student population, could reduce drastically, because when most of these people have finished their programs, they are going to go back. The second group that also contributed immensely to the net or increase in the net migration is those who came here on humanitarian grounds. When I'm saying humanitarian grounds, obviously people who are fleeing what they call persecution. So we have countries, we have three major countries around us which have experienced most of these instabilities, and therefore because of that they have had no choice other than to seek sanctuary, to flee from that persecution. And we are aware when the Taliban took over the government of Afghanistan, you realize that UK, for example, sent flights to bring people from there, because most of them were at risk of being persecuted, either because of their religious grounds, either because of their political affiliations, either because of the fact that they have been associated with foreigners who were working with a previous regime. So because of all these reasons, these people's lives were at risk, and for that matter, most of them had to be evacuated. But even that, we still see and witness and watch on our TVs where people are still fleeing persecution by coming on smaller boats and coming to Dover and seek asylum. So that population from Afghanistan has also contributed immensely to the increase in the net migration. The second people that came on humanitarian grounds, we know, is Hong Kong. When China started having issues and there were a lot of instability, UK obviously gave a lot of avenue to people from Hong Kong to migrate and settle in the United Kingdom. That has also contributed to the increase in the net migration. And finally, quite recently, in February, when Putin invaded Ukraine, and of course, people are still fleeing Ukraine because the war, which Putin thought that could have taken a couple of weeks, if not days, has now taken months. And therefore people are say fleeing that persecution or the invasion of Putin. And because of that, we can see that Ukrainians have also, so many of them have also come to the UK. So these three groups of people have come to the United Kingdom based on humanitarian grounds. And they are the second largest population, which has contributed to the net migration. So I'm now going to look at the third group of people who have also contributed to the net migration. But before I do that, I want to, as I do always, I want to acknowledge those of you who are on this platform. This is quite unannounced studio broadcast, because normally I do these shows on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesday I do the English session, and of course on Wednesday we do the tree session. But tonight I've taken time because due to technical hitches we could not broadcast the show on Tuesday. So tonight I've taken my time to give this broadcast. So I have Gladys Mensah, thank you so much. I have Inche, Dora Kabuti, thank you so much. I have Priscilla Nate, he said, good evening, nice to see you, immigration advisors. I have Roja Kenji, Roja, finally you join me on this platform. Thank you so much. I have Roja, who is also working. I have Yasmin, Hanif, Yasmin. I have highly favored Priscilla, and Jonathan, who is one of us, also joining the show. Thank you guys for joining this unannounced broadcast. So you see that I have looked at two major areas that has contributed immensely to the increase in net migration. The last group, which is the third group, that the ONS, which is the Office of National Statistics Data, confirms that has also contributed to increase in net migration, is a skilled worker route. Skilled workers. Now, one would ask, who are skilled workers? Now, the data obviously explains that within this group, those that were highly recruited from abroad are doctors. Why? Because when we had COVID, when people were advised not to attend their medical appointments or hospital appointments, we have huge backlog, and therefore doctors now need to deal with all this backlog. And for that reason, if you look at those who came under the skilled worker route, even looking at Home Office own data, clearly shows that medical doctors were the highest group that came under the skilled worker route. That's number one for the third group. The second group that came under the skilled worker group are nurses. And of course, remember, when we had this COVID, Amazon delivery became so prominent, and most people change jobs. Nurses, obviously, even now, they are even going on strike because they feel that there is still shortage. They are doing more work. Please, the strike that nurses are backing on is not because of pay. It's just because most of them feel that their jobs role has doubled because one person is now doing about two people's job. So you find out that a lot of people were recruited from abroad and came under the skilled worker route as nurses. Remember, nurses are not only working in the NHS, However, we have private care homes that also need nurses. We have private hospitals and clinics that also need nurses. And therefore, all these people came under the skilled worker route. And obviously, we have those who came to work under what they call the tech sector, those with IT skills, those with engineering skills. And finally, those who came to work in the financial sector, like Canary Wharf. But let me tell you why the skilled worker scheme, when people are saying, oh, because that migration is so high, this route is going to be closed very soon. It's not true. Why? Because according to Home Office own data, only 59,000 contributed to the increase in the net migration, came to the UK under the skilled worker route. And these are Office of National Statistics data, 12 months to the month of June. So it means that those of you who are following me, if you count 12 months backward from June of this year, we'll be looking at perhaps June 2021 to June 2022 data. And this data shows that only 59,000. If you want to check this data, Office of National Statistics data will confirm that 12 months to the month of June, only 59,000 came under the skilled worker route. Of course, this figure by this time might have gone up more than that. But as at that particular capture, this is the only figure of people who have come under this skilled worker route. Remember when I started talking about the net migration and the figure for this increase, I said that 504,000 people that have come to the United Kingdom, 500,000. There have been a 500,000 increase in the net migration 12 months to June of this year. So if only 59,000 came under the skilled worker route, it means that it's only just about 10% of this population increase has come under skilled worker route. So tell me why this will be a concern. Secondly, let's analyze the various categories of these sectors that I've looked at in terms of those who are coming as students, in terms of those who are coming as coming on humanitarian grounds. You find out that, as I said yesterday, those who came from Ukraine, sadly, they need time to learn the English. They cannot be recruited under the skilled worker route. They cannot do most of these jobs because they still have language barrier. Those who came from Afghanistan, sadly, also have the same language barrier problem. So sometimes when I hear on the radios, people shouting, how? Oh, why are people saying come on a skilled worker route when we have so many asylum seekers come on the boat? It shows how naive people are. Because these people coming on the boat cannot fill the gaps that the skilled workers are filling, simply because, one, they don't have the knowledge, two, they don't have the qualification, three, they don't have the language to be able to perform those tasks required by skilled workers. So you see that even though there is an increase in net migration, majority of this increase has come under those who are coming here on humanitarian grounds. Ukrainians, Afghanistans, Hong Kong. And only just 10% has come under the skilled worker route. So quite clearly, employers still need people to perform most of these jobs, these vacancies. And that is the difficult conundrum that employers are now facing, which are called the labor shortage. So you have net migration going up. However, you have employers still experiencing shortage of labor. Why? Because, let me give you practical examples, and I'm sure most of you who watch this news and listen to radios and watch TVs, you find out that, for example, logistics sector, where you have people experiencing problems at the airport because there are not enough flight attendants. Most of these flight attendants used to come from Europe, and some of them, they cannot simply be able to meet the language requirement to come to the United Kingdom to work in these areas. So rather than people being alarmed that the skilled letter route is going to be curtailed, employers rather are canvassing, they are cajoling government, they are advising government that, look, we need people to work in these areas. And this skilled worker scheme itself is a restriction, imposes restriction to the very workers that we need to work in this sector. And of course, those of you who are familiar with this system, you know that we have a group that they call shortage occupation area, and we have those who are not. And most of these shortage occupation areas are those that are requiring people to have degrees and other credentials. And therefore, for somebody who is coming to work as a flight attendant, obviously might not have that qualification. And secondly, there is also an issue about pay, the income threshold that an employer needs to pay an employee in order for that person to come as a skilled worker if it's not under the shortage occupation. Now, for those of you who are recruiting under the shortage occupation, fortunately for people who are coming in as carers who fall under the shortage occupation, you can pay them as low as $20,480 a year. But if you were to recruit somebody to come and work in a restaurant, then of course you were obliged under the skilled worker route to pay this person minimum of $25,600. Tell me how many employers will be able to afford to employ somebody to work in a restaurant as a waiter or waitress or as a logistics person and pay this amount of money. So this is why there is still labor shortage. And this is why most of these rules are not simply going to be abolished. Rather, they may have to be reformed to ensure that the right talents are attracted. So, tonight, I have been privileged to be here to discuss and to explain the dynamics and these figures which has contributed to the increase in net migration. And I want to end by saying that whatever I have discussed here tonight is still going to stay on the platform. If you find it quite exciting, and if you have missed any part of this program, or you find it very exciting and insightful and educative and you want to watch it again, this program is recorded. You can watch it again and again and again and again, even if after I have left the platform, you will still be able to watch it. However, I have to end by saying that this program is proudly sponsored by CITI Law Solicitors. And at this juncture, I want to take a few minutes of your time to advertise the areas of practice that CITI Law Solicitors specialize in. We specialize in numerous areas of the law. We specialize in immigration law, which is my favorite, which is what I've been discussing tonight. We specialize in employment law, if you have been dismissed from work unfairly, if you have become a victim of discrimination, or if for whatever reason you suffered bullying and harassment at the workplace, we are here to support you. We do most of these cases on no fee basis, or namely conditional fee agreement basis. And therefore, you only pay us if we win your case. If we lose together. We win together. We also specialize in family law. We are family law accredited. If for whatever reason you have any matter, any case that you need family law advice, namely, for example, if you are not being given the chance to see your child and you want to put a child arrangement order in place. These days, I always repeat that domestic abuse is criminal offense. We have represented clients who, one of the parties who was the perpetrator of the abuse, have ended up in prison. So if you have any of these problems, cases, don't take it lightly, because if there are allegations against you that you have abused somebody, you may end up in prison. So you probably will need to seek proper legal advice. Anyway, that notwithstanding, if you have suffered domestic abuse and you want us to represent you to get you non-molestation order or occupation order, the difference between the two is that the occupation order takes away that perpetrator from the dwelling place, the house, and send that person in the sky, far away from you. You leave that house, in that house, with peace of mind. Or if that person is harassing you, sending you messages and doing all those stuff that affects your mental stability, will put non-molestation order in place. He will never ever have to contact you to harass you again. All these are dealt with under our family law, and we are family law accredited. What it simply means is that we are the peak of the practice. We are not just solicitors. Personal injury and clinical negligence, we also specialize in personal injury and clinical. If you had an accident at the workplace that was not your fault, we can assist you to claim compensation. If you were involved in motor accident and you want to claim on your own insurance or on the other party's insurance, we will be willing to assist you. Commercial dispute and civil litigation, we are here for corporate entities. CITI Law Solicitors is not just for individuals. We represent businesses. If somebody is owing you as a business and doesn't want to pay, we'll enforce it. We'll go after that person and get that funds for you. If you are setting up a business and you want us to assist you to put partnership agreement in place, directorship agreement in place, most times we all start businesses without putting all these things in place. And when the money starts coming in, there's always a fight and people become so unsure because they don't know where to start from and where to end. This is why you probably need to seek legal advice. Our team of solicitors are available. Housing law, maybe in the course of this month, I'm going to obviously bang on the housing law, because there have been a lot of changes, a lot of updates following the demise of this Aisha, who died because of mold. And of course, local authorities these days have to, all of you, one of our clients yesterday, we had a letter that enforcement agencies are going to the house to go and inspect the mold. Previously, when you write them, it takes months. Now, they are even the one notifying us that they are going to look after our client. So if you're having, in winter, we have a lot of mold, we have a lot of cold weather, and we have damps all over the place. If you have any of those issues, you are entitled to compensation. And therefore, CITI Law Solicitors will be willing and able to assist you to deal with matters of that nature. So guys, it's been quite interesting topic, of course, immigration, to discuss the dynamics. And I'm so grateful to all of you. If you have just joined me, let me simply make sure that I've acknowledged everyone. I'm so grateful for all of you who have joined me tonight, even though it's an unannounced broadcast. I'm happy that most of you said turn up. Tama Crew, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have Steve Asabeko, good evening. Wow, this is a very powerful word. Ambidextrous solicitor, Charlotte. Wow. All right, Steve Asabeko, I like your repertoire. Thank you. I have Bismarck Yen to me, who is also watching. Timothy is a good evening lawyer. So guys, I'm happy, I'm thrilled that all of you joined our broadcast tonight. I want to urge you to share the videos, and I also want to remind you that we are here on Tuesdays for the English section of the legal update, and then on Wednesday the famous MC Chaka hosts this show, and then we do the tree section for all my Ghanaian family in the diaspora. We want to give you peace and freedom by giving you a legal choice. Most problems that people face is a legal problem. We want to assist you to understand that the problem you are facing, if it is not medical, is probably a legal problem. This is why we run most of these programs. Because some people don't know they are right, and they go through a lot of hardships. CITI Law Solicitors is here to support you. Thank you so much, and God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.